It started as an improvised machine, built from civilian equipment. Over decades, it evolved into one of the most dominant weapons on the battlefield. This is the complete history of American vehicles, from their earliest designs to modern combat, starting off with early utility and light vehicles. The Willys MB Jeep, developed in 1940, produced by Willys Overland and Ford, designed to meet strict Army requirements. It was small, four-wheel drive, capable of moving across mud, sand, and snow. The Jeep served as a transport vehicle, command vehicle, ambulance, and weapons platform. It carried machine guns, it towed artillery, it moved officers and infantry across Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific. The Jeep defined mobility. Alongside it came the Dodge WC series. These were heavier than the Jeep, rated as 3/4-ton trucks, used to transport troops, ammunition, and supplies. They served in every major theater of World War II. Reliable, simple to maintain, essential for logistics. Early American armored cars. Before tanks dominated the battlefield, armored cars played a role. The M3 Scout car provided reconnaissance and command support. Lightly armored, open-topped, armed with machine guns. Used extensively in North Africa and Europe, it offered speed and communication rather than protection. Another armored car followed. The M8 Greyhound entered service in 1943, designed for reconnaissance and security missions. Faster and better armed than earlier Scout cars, it carried a 37mm gun and a coaxial machine gun. Light armor, high road speed, used extensively in Western Europe, escorted convoys, screened advancing armored units. The Greyhound prioritized speed over protection. It avoided direct combat, gathered intelligence instead. Light tanks. The first American tanks focused on speed. The M2 light tank saw limited service. It helped train crews and develop armored doctrine. The M3 Stuart followed, entered combat in 1941, armed with a 37mm gun. It performed well against lightly armored enemies, struggled against heavier German tanks. Used extensively in North Africa and the Pacific, the Stuarts remained valuable for reconnaissance, fast, reliable, easy to maintain. Late in the war, the Stuart was replaced. The M24 Chaffee entered service in 1944, designed for reconnaissance and screening roles, armed with a 75mm gun. Faster than earlier light tanks, better armored, improved crew visibility. The Chaffee arrived too late to change the war's outcome, but it shaped post-war light tank design. Medium tanks. The most important American tank of World War II was the M4 Sherman, introduced in 1942, produced in massive numbers, used by Allied forces worldwide. The Sherman emphasized reliability and ease of production. It could be shipped easily, repaired quickly, operated by less experienced crews. While it lacked heavy armor compared to German Tigers and Panthers, it excelled in combined arms warfare. Variants included improved armor, stronger guns, and specialized roles. The Sherman fought in Normandy, across France, into Germany, across Pacific Islands. It became a symbol of American industrial power. Heavy tanks. The United States experimented with heavy tanks. The M26 Pershing entered service late in the war, designed to counter German heavy armor, armed with a 90mm gun. It saw limited combat in Europe, but influenced post-war tank design. Tank destroyers. American doctrine emphasized specialized anti-tank vehicles. The M10 Wolverine featured a powerful gun mounted in an open turret, designed to ambush enemy armor. The M18 Hellcat prioritized speed, one of the fastest armored vehicles of the war, used hit-and-run tactics. The M36 Jackson mounted a 90mm gun, capable of destroying heavy German tanks. These vehicles supported infantry and armored units across Western Europe. Artillery also required mobility. The M7 Priest provided it, built on a modified Sherman chassis, armed with a 105mm howitzer. It supported infantry and armored formations, fired indirect artillery, moved quickly after each barrage. Used in North Africa, used in Italy, used during the Normandy campaign. The priest allowed artillery to keep pace with advancing forces. Infantry transport vehicles. Mobility for infantry was essential. The M3 half-track combined wheels and tracks. It transported troops under fire, mounted machine guns and light weapons. Used extensively by U.S. and Allied forces, played a key role in mechanized infantry operations. Heavy transport and logistics. Wars are won by supply. The GMC CCWK, known as the Deuce and a Half, was the backbone of American logistics. A 2.5-ton truck, reliable, durable. It carried food, fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. From ports to front lines, across Europe and Asia. Thousands were produced. They kept armies moving. Amphibious vehicles. The Pacific theater required innovation. The DUKWK amphibious truck allowed supplies to move directly from ships to beaches. It reduced reliance on ports and played a major role in island-hopping campaigns, used later in Europe during river crossings.
Armored personnel carriers. The M113 changed infantry transport. Introduced in the late 1950s, lightweight aluminum armor, amphibious capability. It carried infantry safely across battlefields, used extensively in Vietnam, still in service decades later. Vietnam-era utility vehicles. The M151 Mutt replaced the Jeep, smaller, more modern. However, it suffered stability issues, still widely used. Supply trucks and armored vehicles faced ambush threats. Adaptations followed. The 1980s introduced the HMMWV, or Humvee, designed for mobility and versatility, not originally armored, used for transport, command, and weapons platforms. Every armored force also required recovery. The M88 Armored Recovery Vehicle filled that role. Heavily armored, powerful winches. It recovered damaged tanks under fire, used alongside the M60, used alongside the M1 Abrams. Autonomous vehicles are being tested. Hybrid engines are explored. The focus remains the same: protection, mobility, reliability. From the Jeep to the Abrams, American military vehicles reflect changing warfare. Each design answers a specific threat. Each leaves a permanent mark in history.